Team Quebec.
I was watching him in the warm-ups, and he looks to be really a poised fighter, the boy from Quebec. He throws his punches together pretty good, and I think that Gary Kopas is going to have a tough fight in his hand with Jean-Francis Abou.
We wait for the announcement from ring announcer Will Alexander.
Third bout of the amateur card. Introducing first in the red corner. Let's start with the blue corner. In the blue corner, please welcome, representing Team Quebec, Jean-Francois Audet. He will be facing in the red corner. He won gold at the North American Indigenous Games, bronze at the 99 Senior Nationals. His amateur record stands at 93-67. Representing the Fighting Eagles Boxing Club, Gary Kopas.
Gary Kopas, born and raised in the Queen City. As mentioned a little earlier, a 19-year-old Regina product, works part-time at Superstore and aspires to be a teacher. However, right now, boxing is the priority in his life, and he's come a long ways into Thunder on the Prairie as he meets Jean-Francois Audet. He's in the blue muscle shirt and Kopas in the white. Our referee for this bout is Joe Jesmer, who's come all the way from Winnipeg to judge the other 3 amateur bouts and referee this one between Kopas and Audet.
Well, it's the first time I've seen any of the young fighters, the boy from Quebec, threw a jab down to the body.
He's coming right after him. He had Kopas on the ropes momentarily. Kopas now regains his bearings.
He seems to really have his all guns blazing, I'll tell you that. The Quebec fighter looks real sharp.
The most aggressive, obviously, of any of the Team Quebec we've seen so far, and this is the 3rd amateur bout. Gary Kopas with a guard up and comes back with a right.
We're moving up in weight now. All these boys are starting to pack a little bit better of a punch now. I really like the style of the boy from Quebec, throwing his jab down to the body and looking upstairs.
Connects with the left, of course, a mandatory headgear. Takes a bit of a sting away from those hooks and crosses. Dead in the blue muscle shirt, as we mentioned, Kopas in white.
Gary Kopas shouldn't be waiting for him. Gary Kopas should be trying to put some pressure on him, because the other boy's got some real fast hands. He wants to slow him down a little bit.
Now right over the top that misses, but Kopas with some strong combinations and looking very solid. Now a big left that sent Kopas back a bit. Now coming with some strong rights.
Kopas is a very, very strong kid. He just got hit with a real hard left hook. He took all the pressure and come back with a little bit of his own.
We're nearing the end of round 1 of Regina's Gary Kopas of the Fighting Eagles Boxing Club against Jean-Francois Audet of Team Quebec. And a big right hand that is well wide from Kopas. The left jab's been very effective for Audet. The opening round, and now almost overpowers Kopas into the corner.
I'm really impressed with Audet's hand speed. He's got some good hand speed, and he seems to catch Gary Kopas. I should say the very, very tough Gary Kopas on the chin. Gary comes storming right on back.
So we see the end of round 1 of our 3rd amateur contest. Gary Kopas, a look at his corner. You were scoring it as a judge. Your thoughts on round 1?
Well, my thoughts on round 1, I would probably go with the Quebec fighter having the edge a bit just on hand speed. And as we always said, and everybody in boxing says, it's a quote from Larry Holmes: speed kills, and you need the speed in the ring. And it looks like the Audet from Quebec really does have a lot of speed.
Cable Regina and Thunder on the Prairie would like to thank the Regina Pats Hockey Club for the use of the Jumbo Vision, the SaskTel Jumbo Vision at the west end of the Agrodome here tonight for Thunder on the Prairie, giving those seated in the upper bowl maybe a bit of a better look as they carry our Cable Regina feed. You're watching Thunder on the Prairie live. Rod Peterson along with Ken LaCosta As we are in the amateur portion of tonight's proceedings, coming up a little later, 3 professional bouts. Headliner, Willard Red Thunder Rock Lewis. And making Edmonton his home, that's got to give you a special spot in your heart for him, I would think, living in Edmonton now.
Oh yeah, he's an action fighter. He comes to fight, he puts a great show on, and what he does is he throws a ton of punches, so the crowd will be on their feet for that bout.
He'll face Steven Spidell of Las Vegas, Nevada, coming up later on in our main event of the professional portion. Here we are in round 2. Regina's Gary Kopas versus Jean-Francois Audet. And again, Audet, very aggressive to open round 2.
There's Audet with that hand speed again. And what Gary Kopas has got to do is Kopas has got to get on him and start putting some pressure on him and throw some punches, because if he doesn't, he's going to let this guy lead off with all that speed and be in trouble all night.
Coming after him somewhat here in round 2, but another reach advantage. This time for Team Quebec.
Good left hook by Gary Kopas. Gary caught him with 2 in a row, and he's got to get in there and throw some punches, because the Quebec fighter has got very fast hands.
Now he's got Kopas up against the ropes. Referee Joe Jesmer stepping in for a minute. Now they clinch in again on the west end of the ring. Round 2, certainly after round 1, Audet looked in control. He's got a bit of the momentum here in round 2, but Kopas with a left hand, trying with those jabs. Now a right that connected, but very strong recovery from Audet. Now some body shots from Kopas along the ropes.
Both boys seem to have a lot of guts and desire. Both boys are throwing big shots. Where I feel they should be using a lot more jabs, but they're both trying to clock each other with their big right hands and big left hooks, and they're scoring.
Not as technical about as the Jesse LaFramboise bout we just finished.
No, it's not, but it's a very exciting bout. This is probably the best fight of the night so far. Both guys exchanging big punches.
Round 2, getting near completion here in our 3rd amateur bout of Thunder on the Prairie, live on Cable Regina from the Thunderdome tonight. And the end of round 2. A little less aggressive, I think, than the opening round of that amateur bout.
I think that this bout here is both boys got a lot of experience. Both boys are a little bit older than the other 2 bouts, and it's an excellent bout. No doubt.
They're bringing around the placards for round 3. Unfortunately, the young gentleman's got his placard upside down, which has the crowd hooting and hollering, and now has it right side up. Everybody's having a good time here tonight at the Agrodome for Thunder on the Prairie. Gary Kopas, a local favorite, as mentioned, 19-year-old Regina, graduated high school in '97. Won gold at the North American Indigenous Games in '95 in Bemidji, Minnesota, and also in '97. Won gold for Team Saskatchewan at the '95 Canada Winter Games in Grand Prairie. These guys spent some time in the squared circle, if you will.
Yeah, they have. Both boys are very, very tough. Both boys are looking to hit a little bit too hard. I think they should be boxing more, especially the one from Quebec. He's got all that nice hand speed. Gary Kopas has got to try to put some pressure on him.
Audet has the ring cut off somewhat here in the early part of round 3. Now they move out towards the middle. A couple of body shots from Audet as Kopas reeling somewhat. Now goes up with a combination.
This Audet is a very, very impressive fighter. I'm really impressed with his hand speed and the nice combination, choices of punches, pressure he puts on, and I'm very, very impressed also with Gary Kopas' toughness.
The judges for this 3rd amateur bout, Frank Fiacco, Graham Craig, Brian Egan, and also Yvonne Goulet and Morgan Williams. Referee is Joe Jesper, who was mentioned earlier, is in from Winnipeg. Round 3, a left from Kopas, another.
That's what Kopas has got to do. Kopas has got to put some pressure on him, put some punches together if he wants to win this fight. He's got to dig down now.
The reach advantage, decidedly, as you can see at home, belongs to Audet, but Kopas looking very strong in the latter stages of this third round, and seems to be cut as well, Ken.
Well, he's bleeding from the mouth, but Gary Kopas is now starting to do what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to be aggressive. He's supposed to slow down the faster-handed Audet.
Trading blows, a bit of a wind-up from Kopas, a right that misses, and broken up by a moment by Audet. Another big left, misses, and Kopas slips on the water in that blue corner belonging to Jean-Fracois Audet. They'll clean the ring coming up in our intermission after the fourth amateur bout. Now we see the end of round number 3, and very even for the judges to score, I would think.
It's a tough fight to score. Both boys have been hitting with some nice quality punches. I got the fight pretty even right now, and I think that it's going to be whoever's going to win this next round is going to probably win this fight.
Mentioned Ken Lacusta, former Canadian heavyweight champ, our color commentator on tonight's broadcast of Thunder on the Prairie, now a promoter with Big Bang Boxing Productions. And as you mentioned on global television last night, not as many punches in this role at ringside than when you were competing.
Well, you know, when you're not fighting, you're promoting, you're always braver than when you were fighting. And now I always say, go get him, go get him. But yeah, it's a lot easier. You don't get hit as often, that's for sure, promoting and doing the color. But I'll tell you one thing about the boys in there tonight. They're throwing a lot of leather. I think they're loading up a little too hard. If I was the boy from Quebec's coach, I would tell him to up the speed and ability more. And if I was in Gary Kopas' corner, I'd get him to come on to him and mix it up more and pull this out for his boys from Regina.
One last shot of water, and Gary Kopas is ready for the fourth and final 2-minute round of this amateur bout. Here live from the Agrodome on Cable Regina. Rod Peterson along with Ken Lacusta bringing you all the play-by-play.
The boy from Quebec is coming out early, and he's trying to push the issue. He knows he might be a little bit behind in the points, so he wants to get a few points in.
Coming out aggressive as he did in round 1, Gary Kopas maybe had the upper hand in the middle round.
There's another right hand by Kopas. Kopas is starting to find a home for that right hand, and he's been doing well in the last round and a half. He's got to keep being aggressive and keep going forward. Don't let this Quebec fighter start to get the front end and start throwing punches at will.
He's connecting with a couple of those left jabs, as you mentioned he needed to do in the third round. Now tries a right hook. Oh, a nice combination.
Gary Kopas is a very determined fighter. He seems to keep coming for throwing them punches. He's going to score with some blows. He's going to just keep the pressure on.
Coming right after Audet in his fourth round. Seems to be a lot more solidly built than his counterpart as well. I would think the strength advantage would go to Kopas.
The strength advantage would certainly go to Kopas. He seems to be, when he wants to be the aggressor, he can take over this fight, but he just got to make that decision to do it.
Kopas looking good as we get near the end of this fourth and final round.
Kopas, a lot of the times he loads up on a lot of his punches, and that's where it's going to hurt him in the long run. He's got to learn to throw his punches with his body and relax and load up every once in a while, not every time.
Kopas again to the left. And backing Audet into the corner. Now they clinch.
The Quebec fighter, I think, is a little tired here in the later rounds. He's not throwing a lot of punches.
And we see the end of this bout between Gary Kopas and Jean-Fracois Audet, and it's now in the hands of the judges, but we've learned a little earlier on, especially in the Jesse Lefebvre boys play, we will not speculate as to the winner. We'll leave it up to the judges. Our ring announcer, Will Alexander, in the official judges' call. And we get ready for that fourth and final amateur bout. Let's take you down to the ring with Will Alexander.
I think that Gary Kopas has a big opportunity.
The officials have scored the bout 13-8. Your winner in the red corner, Gary Kopas.
And they do indeed give it to Gary Kopas. And not a big surprise, and certainly pleasing the 3,500 or so fans of the Regina Fighting Eagles Boxing Club. And now Gary Kopas presented with the belt in the middle of the ring.
Gary Kopas showed a lot here tonight. I thought he lost the first round and a half, but then he started finding a home for his right hand. He found a home for his left hook. He started throwing more punches, and he was rewarded with the decision, and rightfully so.
And we'll be back with our fourth